We're just about a month into the NBA season, and I want to hand out some All-Star ballots. Now, as many of you know, the format has changed. We now have three teams that consist of 8 players, two of them filled with American-born players, and the third, international stars. That is going to present a lot of challenges, but a lot of fun roster makeups. So today, we're going to look at those, and I'll give you guys my take. Now, before we get to the American-led rosters, where there's a bit more of explaining to do there, let me know in the comments your thoughts and your ballots for these rosters. Or hey, if you just want to give me one or two wild cards, that is also fun, man, because a player like Norman Powell has been balling to start the year. He deserves a spot on an all-star roster, but with this new makeup, he unfortunately missed the cut. But again, if you had a Zach LaVine or a Norman Powell on your ballot, I completely understand. So drop those kind of players in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I possibly can. Now let's start in the international world team here, as they are calling it. They're going to dominate. Let's just get this out of the way. If these players take this game seriously, they're going to walk through this round robin tournament and again host the trophy at the end of it. Because in the backcourt, we start with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Luka Doncic. For Shai, he is on the best team in the Western Conference. They only have one loss to this point in the season, despite missing Jalen Williams for the entirety of this first part of the season. Chet Holmgren's missed some time, and pretty much every significant role player in this rotation has missed some time. Shai, as a one-man crew at times, has carried this team to a 14-1 record, and a lot of the times, he's up by so much going into the fourth where he doesn't even play the fourth quarter. This is a Thunder team that has an argument as one of the best defensive teams of all time, and that is not an over-exaggeration. I guess I didn't really need to say over-exaggeration. You get the point there. The Thunder, great defensive team. Offensively, one of the best in the league, and Shai is leading the charge. No reason why he shouldn't be in the MVP conversations yet again, but also as the starting guard of an all-star team, whether world or not. Now, for Luka Doncic, no LeBron, no problem. There's a lot of questions about how Luka would carry the load to come into the year. We know he can do it, but with this unit and JJ Redick, could he? Well, he's doing it with flying colors, averaging 34, 9, and 9 a game, shooting efficiently from the field. And again, he's averaging 34 points a game and shooting 78% from the two-point field goal attempts. He's averaging 34 despite shooting subpar from three. Luka's been dominant this season. He's only played in 70 or so percent of their games, but almost all the time that he plays, they win the game. The only bad game that Luka's had so far is against Shai and the Thunder, which was just a few nights ago, but I'm not going to let that change my image of Luka Doncic as a whole. No doubt in my mind, he is an MVP candidate, and he is on the first team here for Team World. Now, in the Eastern Conference, it's the only Eastern Conference player on this entire world roster. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo, a guy that is averaging 31 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists, shooting 68% from the field and 50% from three. Now, I know that's not a big clip. He's not shooting a ton from the outside, but for Giannis to shoot 50%, he becomes unguardable on a nightly basis as teams don't really have an avenue to stop him on any given possession because you can't really do anything against the Greek Freak. He is no doubt in the MVP conversations, a guy that is carrying a subpar roster to being in the mix in this Eastern Conference as a home court possible team come playoff time is incredibly impressive. I mean, when Ryan Rollins is your second best player, it goes to show the season that Giannis is having to keeping this Bucks team in the mix. So honestly, when you look at the exact definition of MVP, most valuable player, Giannis might be the guy, at least this season, because if you take him off that roster, that Bucks team might be right where the Wizards and the Pacers are with about 1 or 2 wins to this point in the season, tanking for a guy like Darren Peterson. At the 4 spot, we have Victor Wembanyama. They were 8-1 to start the year, and I've made many videos about the excellence of Wemby and this super young Spurs team and how well they've played to start the year. Again, they were 8-1 at one point without De'Aaron Fox, and Wemby was averaging 33, 15, and 4 blocks a game. They had the best point differential in the league and the second best defense at the time. Now, of course, Wemby's numbers have taken a bit of a step back with Fox coming back into the lineup, but they are still the number two defense in the NBA. Victor Wembanyama will be a staple in the MVP conversations. He is going to have the Defensive Player of the Years on his shelf for the next 4 to 5 years, unless he gets hurt. He is a special talent. He is an alien. And that, of course, is his brand, and he really fits the mold for that. No doubt in my mind. He is a first team all world player for this all-star ballot. Now, for Nikola Jokic at the center spot, he's the most valuable player in the league. As of right now, if the season ended, he would have my MVP votes, averaging 29, 13, and 11. He's had 6 triple-doubles to start the year. They are the third best record in the league, behind the Thunder and the Detroit Pistons. And for Nikola Jokic, he has the best advanced numbers. And I don't want to just say that and go past that. This is a guy that, just like Luka Doncic, is shooting over 75% on his 2-point attempts. And on a per 100 possession basis, Nikola Jokic and this offense are averaging 151 points per 100 possessions. Now, on the other side of the court, they're only giving up 104 points per 100 possessions. So that means that when Jokic is on the floor, this is a team that is the plus 47 points better. That was a mouthful, and of course I could have got that out a bit smoother, but you get the picture. Advanced numbers are there, counting stats are there, the record is there. Nikola Jokic, as well as these star-studded international stars, will be the starting lineup of the all-world team. But let's start here with Alperen Sengun off the bench, as there was a lot of questions about this Rockets team after the loss of Fred VanVleet, because outside of Kevin Durant, because we know who he is and we know how Kevin Durant can play come playoff time, who else can step up around Kevin Durant? Who could be that secondary guy? And Alperen Sengun has answered the call almost every single night. We saw from the first game of the NBA season until now that sometimes Kevin Durant doesn't have to be the first option, and a lot of the times the offense is completely running through Alperen Sengun, whether it's different actions around him, whether if he's doing different handoffs with guards or wings. Alperen Sengun is not afraid to go get his own bucket. I mean, he is having career numbers across the board, basically, outside of the efficiency, but that's a given that his volume is at a career high. Alperen Sengun has been nothing short of dominant to start the season, and if this team wants to contend for a title, it's not more so on the shoulders of Kevin Durant playing like Kevin Durant. I think it is Alperen Sengun keeping that aggressiveness all season long, because if they can, that's going to be all the difference in them being a good playoff team and being a legitimate contender. So Sengun, first man off the bench of the Houston Rockets. Now, Lauri Markkanen, he is averaging 30 points per game, shooting 40% from three, and along this season, he's had 6 games of 30 or more points, and a couple of those above 45 points. Of course, he had that crazy 50-point performance very early on in the season. Lauri Markkanen, being the sniper that he is on a team that was very good to start the year. Now the Jazz are coming back down to earth, but the Jazz, that offense has been surprising. Lauri is leading the way, and this team needs a sniper, so Lauri fits the mold for all of those, and there's no doubt in my mind that he needs to be on this world team there at the mid-season mark. So Lauri Markkanen, one of my favorite players in the league, and I'm going to give him the nod here. Speaking about some of my favorite players, Deni Avdija of the Portland Trailblazers, there's been so much commotion and turmoil around this organization for off-the-court issues. But for Deni Avdija to lead the charge, being the Walmart version of Luka Doncic, which I like to call him, it's been fun to watch. This is one of the funnest teams to watch in the league. Deni's leading the way, averaging 26, 6, and 5. They are in the play-in mix. Could potentially be a team that avoids the play-in as a 6th seed if they can continue this momentum. But Deni rounds out this world team. And if you're wondering, we will recap these rosters at the end. Now let's go to the American-led side, where there's 2 teams, a makeup of 16 players. And as of right now, you guys might know at home, I'm not sure how they're going to divvy up these 16 players. If they're going to be drafted or just the top 8 vote getters are on one team and vice versa, I'm not exactly sure. So what I wanted to do is gather the 16 best players, in my opinion, this season in the Eastern Conference, and I want to divvy them up evenly. We'll start here with Cade Cunningham, as this team is 12-2. They've won 10 straight games. They are the second best record in the NBA, period. And despite this roster losing so many great shooting and outside threats this offseason, This is a roster that didn't really fix those issues outside of bringing in Duncan Robinson, who's been solid this season, but there's still questions about the spacing and how this offense would operate despite losing Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. Well, Cade Cunningham has answered the call. He's elevated his game not only one level, but I dare to say two or three. He's averaging 27 and 10, like I mentioned, the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. And this is a Pistons team that has another player that is playing like an all NBA level player. And a large part of that, I think, is because Cade is elevating everyone's play on this entire roster. Come playoff time, I still would like to see them add another outside threat, maybe even re-sign Malik Beasley. But until then, Cade is going to put on a show, an MVP type year there for the Detroit Pistons. And it's just great to see the Pistons back on top. Hopefully they can maintain it. And from what I've seen so far, Cade just has that dog in him. A 46-point performance. Let's not let that go by. He's been incredible. He will get the nod here as the best guard so far this entire season. Now, for Tyrese Maxey, I would say he's number two. A guy that is averaging 32 and 8 assists a game. It is no doubt his team in Philadelphia now, as Embiid, unfortunately, looks like a shell of his former self. But you can see those years with James Harden have paid off. It looks like a younger version of James Harden with his shiftiness, with how he moves, how he creates space, and how he gets his shot off despite facing multiple bodies almost every single possession. Tyrese Maxey's been amazing. He has been a scoring phenom, and he will get that second nod here on a Sixers team that is in the mix to be a team that gets home courts in the Eastern Conference. Now at the 3, it gets a little bit tricky here because they're going to be a bit undersized compared to, let's say, Team World, but who isn't? Anthony Edwards averaging 26 a game for the Timberwolves. This is a top 6 seed in the West, and that is a large part because Anthony Edwards hasn't been healthy for every game this season. When he's played, this team has only lost 2 games so far. And again, he's the leader of one of the sleeping giants in the loaded Western Conference. Back-to-back Western Conference Finals trips. Not that that plays a part in today's video, but to start this year, he's had many 30, 40-point performances. There we go for this team. And when he's on the court, they are just completely different. So Anthony Edwards will be the 3 for this first team here in the American-led side. Now, joining him will be his idol, Kevin Durant, and yes, that was done on purpose. But for Anthony Edwards to be next to Kevin Durant, both of these guys are averaging 26 points a game. But for Kevin Durant, he's on a 50, 40, 90 pace. He's had many game winners, many great closing shots, clutch shots, if you will, for the Rockets early on. He's been a seamless fit. And for this Rockets team to be one of the best defensive teams in the world, a large part of that has to be due to Kevin Durant's effort on that side of the court. And also, on the offensive end, him and Sengun are carrying a lot on their shoulders. And Kevin Durant has been, of course, his normal self, the all-time great player that we know he is. For Kevin Durant, not much else I can say. They're top 3 seed in the West, one of the best defenses. And again, offensively, Kevin Durant is closing out a lot of games for the Rockets. Now, at center, this is a shocker. But we've seen a complete 180 different version of this player than we have in years prior. Jalen Duren of the 12-2 Detroit Pistons gets the nod for me on this first team. He has been the best center so far, I think, in the as far as the American-born players. He is averaging 20 and 12 a game. He's had 3 games of 30-plus points. He's had 4 games of 15 or more rebounds. He, to me, is the most improved player so far this season. Out of nowhere, this is a guy that if you give him the ball, he is dribbling, he's creating his own shot, creating a lot of separation, and he's making a lot of tough shots when that accounts for it. Also, he's a beast on the boards, as those stats I just mentioned resemble. Jalen Duren, no doubt, has been amazing. Cade and him look like a duo that can go out there and shock some people and make the Eastern Conference Finals, even without a legitimate third star. So the Pistons have been impressive, and they will get 2 All-Stars on this first team here for the American-led rosters. Now on the bench, we're going to go Austin Reeves, a guy that's averaging 28 and 8. You can make a legitimate argument that he should be in over Ant in that starting lineup. But for Austin Reeves, with no Luka missing some time this year, of course LeBron has missed the entirety of the start of this season, and Austin Reeves has led the way. Many clutch moments, many great high-scoring shootouts, where he has led the Lakers to many wins to start the year. Austin Reeves has been spectacular, and he will get the nod, first man off the bench. Jaylen Brown, with all the turmoil, all the changes and injuries on this roster, Jaylen Brown has steadied the ship. They started off rough there in Boston, but now they're 7-7. They're slowly climbing up. They've won 3 straight games. And of course, the Celtics look to be a team that stays in the mix to still make the playoffs, despite Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, Kristaps not being on the roster as far as this season or anymore. In the last spot, I had to do it because of team chemistry, but also this team needed another big man. And I'm going to go Julius Randle of the Timberwolves, joins his teammate in Anthony Edwards on this team. And so far, 25-7 a game. They're a top 6 seed with Anthony Edwards missing some time. And the skilled bully kind of a player in Julius Randle deserves credit as far as his play so far this year. So that's team 1 as far as American-born led players. Let's go to team 2. Now, team two's backcourt is going to be Stephen Curry and Donovan Mitchell. For Stephen Curry, he's had 2 games of 46 and 49 on back-to-back nights against the San Antonio Spurs, and that honestly might be the reason he gets the nod as the starter on this team. But still, he's averaging 27 points a game, 38% from 3, still that lethal killer, silent killer, whatever you want to call him, and Stephen Curry, the baby-faced assassin. That was always my favorite nickname of Stephen Curry. He will get the nod in this starting lineup because he's still one of the best players in the world. Joining him is Donovan Mitchell. I'm a Cavaliers fan. Maybe my bias is in the way, but averaging 30 points per game, 50, 40, 90 pace, still a top 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, despite this team having injuries and lineup inconsistencies. And really, they've just started rough to start this season. And Spida has kept them a ship. And again, they're still one of the best teams in the league, despite a poor start. Donovan Mitchell has been the only consistent piece, and he is the only Cavalier that I gave a nod to in these All-Star ballots because Evan Mobley hasn't been what I thought he would be this season. At the 3 spot, we have Devin Booker. I think quietly, he's averaging 28-7 a game, and this Phoenix Suns team is 8-6 in a loaded Western Conference, and Devin Booker, has them as a playoff team. Again, despite losing Kevin Durant, despite getting a new head coach, working in with pieces that had been there and not been there, like Jalen Green, Devin Booker keeping this team in the spot that they are in is incredibly impressive, and he gets a starting spot on this second team as far as the American-born led players. Now, at the 4 spot, this is where we get controversial, but coming into the season, all offseason, I was raving about Darko Rajakovic and this Toronto Raptors team. Their potential, if they could work it all together with Barrett, Scotty Barnes, and Brandon Ingram, they were going to be special. Now, you can have Scotty Barnes in this spot, but from what I've seen in the 5, 6, 7 games I've watched of the Toronto Raptors, Brandon Ingram deserves this spot a little bit more. To be the go-to guy on a team, averaging 21-6, they are a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference, and they're shocking the majority of the world. Of course, I saw this potential. I thought that they would have been a legitimate sleeping juggernaut here in the Eastern Conference, and they're proving that, man. The defense is there. The offense is led by Ingram, but the offense has surprised a lot of folks this season. And again, BI is leading the way. So I gave him a starting spot to be the main guy on a top 3 seed in the East. I think that qualifies Brandon Ingram. So again, he gets the nod for me. Now, the starting center of Team 2 will be Karl Anthony Towns, averaging 21 points, 13 rebounds a game. I think to start this season, he started a bit slow. Mike Brown and Karl Anthony Towns are trying to find what works best for his role and how he can dominate on a nightly basis. And for this roster to be moving past the, hey, Jalen Brunson, you are the guy and go get us a shot. Go, completely generate all the offense, and we'll work around you, which is what's been their system around Tibbs the last couple of years. Karl Anthony Towns has now stepped out again. He's now shooting more 3-pointers than he was with Tom Thibodeau, and as self-proclaimed the best big man shooter of all time, we need to see that side of Karl Anthony Towns' game, which we've seen this season. I do want to say, as far as an aggressiveness standpoint, he's had 10 or more rebounds in every single game this season. And again, outside of that first game stinker, offensively, he's been a 20-point, 10-rebound machine. So Cat gets that nod on a New York Knicks team that is still one of the best teams in the East, despite a slower start as far as what we would have imagined coming into the year. Now, coming off the bench for team chemistry purposes is his teammate in Jalen Brunson. You guys know how big of a fan I am of Jalen Brunson. I had him as a top 10 player in the world coming into the season. He is an offense on his lonesome, but when he has help around him, that makes him that much more dangerous. That makes this Knicks team a championship contender. And I still think that they will win the Eastern Conference if the season and the playoffs were to start today. But for Brunson, 28.6 assists a game. They're still a top six seed despite a slower start. Working with a new coach, a new system. Jalen Brunson is still getting his. And again, they're still one of the best teams in the conference. So no shocker, he will come off the bench as the first man. Now, when you talk about impact, Jimmy Butler has to be the poster child as far as players in the NBA today, right next to maybe his teammate in Draymond Green. Jimmy Butler's averaging 19 points a game. He has had incredible efficiency and impact so far this year. Though the Warriors aren't one of the top teams in the Western Conference, Jimmy Butler has been a very steady offensive force for this team this season, with Stephen Curry missing some time. And last year in the playoffs, we all said the same thing. When Steph Curry went down, Jimmy Butler went ghost mode. We were expecting this is a guy to turn back to his Miami days, to be that lone offensive force like a Jalen Brunson, but he wasn't. He kind of disappeared. He went ghost mode, and this Warriors team fluttered out of the playoffs in a hurry once Steph Curry went down in that second round. But this year, in those, I guess, dark spots, in those spots where the teams are trapping Stephen Curry, and this team needs a guy that can go out there and make tough shots and lead the offense, Jimmy Butler has been that guy. Not to mention, he's taking very tough assignments defensively, being that Miami dog version of himself. So he will no doubt get a spot here based on impact. And his former teammate will join him. Bam Adebayo, quietly this season, is averaging 20 points and 8 rebounds a game. They were a top 3 seed when he was healthy. They've lost very few games when Bam has been healthy this season. Now he's missed a couple games as of late, but again, one of the best teams when he's been healthy. Defensive impact, as far as advanced numbers, are off the charts. He's one of the best defensive centers in the game, as we've known for many years, and he will round out my American-led born players all-star spots, at least let's just say that. But now we talked about a lot of players. We talked about the reasonings behind these players and why they deserve certain spots, and it can all get confusing. So hopefully you stay to this point in the episode, because this exact screen will perfectly and easily summarize who I have on each roster. Of course, I'm not going to read all the names off, but I will say this yet again. This year's All-Star format is a bit different. They will have these 3 teams. They will go head-to-head in a round-robin style tournament, meaning every team will play each other at least once. The teams with the best 2 records will be the championship game. This seems like a lot of basketball on these star players, so I'm interested to see the effort in these games from all these All-Stars in 2025 and 6. And then, of course, for the American rosters, which we've covered here as the last 15 minutes, there wasn't any rhyme or reason as far as why I put X player on this team compared to that team. I'm not sure how those guys are going to be divvied up at the midseason mark. So what I did was just kind of give each team enough guards, wings, and centers to make them at least being able to compete with the team world, which has Shea, Luka, Giannis, Wemby, Jokic, arguably the top 5 players in the world, not to mention Sengun, Lowry, and Denny off the bench. Team world, if they have any effort, they're going to run through this tournament. But that's going to do it, man. Again, new format this season, which I feel like that's just a running trend. Every year we get a new format. But this year, it has some intrigue to it. I'm excited to see how it operates, and I'm excited to see the effort level of a lot of these big-time players on these loaded rosters. But that's going to do it, man. Episode 333. My favorite number is 3. So this was a very fun episode, to say the least. My mic's falling down. I got to get out of here. But of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, you will have an answer as soon as possible.